Go ahead.
Okay, so like we said, we work for Florida Conservation Corp, which is FLCC. It's a volunteer-based program, and it is under the AmeriCorps Non-Native Species Terminator Ant Program, which is what we said we were a part of.
Mm-hmm. We know we have nothing to do with water, so.
But we also have everything to do with it.
Right, because everything is connected. So like Sarah was saying, they go in and they terminate those Brazilian peppers. We would partner with them potentially, and we would go in and we would be the ones to remove all those infestations. So that's technically what we do.
Right. We actually work with Terracea State Park, where we do with marsh stuff and Brazilian pepper stuff.
Salt marsh stuff.
Yes. So we do contribute to it, but we primarily work on land. So just another go around of like who we are. I am currently working on my AA. You have your integrative animal biology degree. We're both trying to get, into the environmental field. I think we covered that. And then what do we do?
Like we said, we remove invasive species. As you know, Florida is a port state, so we have plenty of invasive species to go around. If you want job security, this is the place to be. This is the field to be in.
Conservation work will keep you in jobs.
Yes, believe me. May not be the most glamorous work, but it is definitely, you have years and years and years to try to help the environment out here. So we go in and we hand pull. We do prescribed burns, which we actually just did a 1,200 acre burn yesterday within Alafaya River State Park. It was an amazing burn. Yeah. It was very successful. Very intense, but it was mainly focusing on Kogan grass, and we removed all that Kogan grass. And we actually we have contracts with ranchers that go out with cattle, and the cattle will eat the baby Kogan grass once it grows a little bit. Right. So that'll be cool to see that get knocked back. And we also do hand pulling. So pretty much anything you can just think of, we go in, we remove that invasive species out of that environment.
Right. So that's how we do it. We use our 3 treatments: prescribed, burns, herbicide treatment, and hand pulling. We primarily during our workday use herbicide treatment because there's so much invasives out there. It would be virtually impossible to get a good amount of ground coverage for how much there is in the short amount of time that we're in the FLCC program. Right. So we need to go in there and hit hard. And I know not everybody's really happy about herbicide treatments, but it's better to get rid of the invasives. And the natives will always be able to come back. And it's just kind of a way to get those out of the way so the natives can take things back.
Right.
And then where is our host park? So we are with the FLCC program contracted to Alafaya River State Park. And our park is located in Lithia Springs, Florida, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah, Florida. It's a really amazing park. There's mountain biking. Obviously, there's the river, the Alafaya River there. You can go kayaking or canoeing in. There's lots of hiking, and you can bring your horse and do some equestrian stuff as well. It used to be a phosphate mining area, actually. And if you want to, we have some notes on this. So it used to be a phosphate mining area. So because of that, the topography is kind of all over the place. It doesn't look like Florida when you get there. Like I mentioned, mountain biking is part of the park's main attractions. And because of that, it's very hilly, and it gives a lot of diverse range of non-native invasives to just take over and basically, just do what they do best, invade.
To piggyback off of that, it's a really cool thing to see restoration happening in such a destroyed ecosystem because, I mean, we need phosphate, don't get me wrong, but they absolutely destroy the ecosystem. The mining that takes place, it's awful. But to go in and actually be a part of that restoration process, it's probably one of the best feelings. You can go in, 3 years later and see a project that you were starting on and see native plants growing back in that ecosystem. And it's just like heartwarming and melting. And you're just like, yes, I did that.
It's so gratifying.
I made that happen. It's wonderful. And to kind of connect it into the water that we're trying to help preserve this water in Florida, we actually help soil restoration by putting native plants back into the environment, which helps the soil filter out very, very toxic water that's coming through. So it helps connect everything together. So
another reason how we do connect to water. And then why are we talking to you about it today? So
great question.
So our program primarily is associated with volunteering. So because volunteering is a great way to get yourself out there, we want to try to encourage you guys to kind of dip your toe in FLCC and see how you like it. You can become a steward for your community with education and field work. I have learned so much in the past year. I feel like I've taken like so many different classes, but it's just one long year of field work. I also already have field work under my belt, which is great because it's something you're going to need once you graduate, and it looks really good on your resume. So I already have that, and I'm gonna finish with about over 1,700 hours. We both will be finishing with that much, and that's a lot. That's very impressive. So if you can try to do that, it's probably the best thing for you.
And even a half term is 900 hours.
Yeah,
that's
it's still a lot.
Crazy amount of hours to complete.
And you'll still be able to get to do the same things that a full term would. Like for example, we've been certified with CPR, with herbicide treatment, obviously, with prescribed burns, and
we're gonna start training on tractors. So if you don't know how to drive a tractor and you want to know, this is the place to be. And it's free. You get paid to do it. It's great.
Yes. There's a lot of trainings and a lot of cool opportunities to get your hands on FLCC.
Yeah.
And then also it's just a place where you can make unforgettable memories and lifelong friends.
Yeah.
So it's just really fun. It's really, really great for the people that just kind of don't know where they want to go yet, but they want to try something to see how it feels.
Yeah. And so why is what we do important? We kind of already touched on that. Like it's connected to everything. We restore all of these natural habitats that have been absolutely decimated by human activity. But it's good for the public. Like you have restoration areas that they can now enjoy, and the beauty of diversity is just, it's overwhelming whenever you see an actual diverse natural habitat. Yeah. It is really beautiful.
Rather than a monoculture of Kogan or Brazilian pepper.
Yes.
Yeah, and then it just gets people to get out there and be more wanting to be engaged, because like, wow, it's so beautiful. Like, what are all of these plants? And it's like, oh, let me go learn. So it's important because it gives back to the community and all those good things.
Yeah.
And then to conclude, and now you know a little bit more about what FLCC is. And if you guys need to reach out, we'll leave our emails in the chat box as well. If you guys want to learn a little bit more, we can send you some brochure and a lot more information. So,
yeah, that's all I have.
Thank you so much for sharing.
Of course.
So now I'm going to encourage those in the audience that if you have a question, you go ahead and put it in the chat. It could be for a particular panelist. It could be for a question for all of them to answer. And while you guys are thinking of your questions, I'll go ahead and ask one to you all. So I'll also place it in the chat. What is one piece of advice you have for an undergraduate who's maybe already decided on their major? For instance, is there one thing that they should start working on now to be better prepared if they want to get into the work that you all are doing?
I would highly recommend, if you have chosen your major, one thing that I did when I was an undergraduate student was I worked with a professor actually on a hard bottom project grant. And I worked with him for a few different years. It started off as volunteer work, and then it actually went into a paid position in his lab. And then that transitioned into my master's degree thesis, which also related to my current job. So I had a lot of opportunities that grew from that work that I did with my professor in college. And also, I would encourage you to do internships. That's a great way to get experience. I highly recommend getting experience as an undergraduate student, because when you get to applying for jobs, we just hired 2 positions with our office, and you stand out from other students that just have an education if you have experience that went above and beyond just your schooling. And that's what we're looking for as a hiring agency, is those students who went above and beyond and got extra experience.
Thank you.
I was also going to add and piggyback off of what Sarah just said. Getting involved in school is definitely a wonderful way of starting. I know I graduated and I had absolutely no idea what I wanted to do with my life. So I found this job, Florida Conservation Corp, and I now know, again, like I started off saying, I know so many people in different areas and departments of conservation work and restoration and preservation, and I have learned an enormous amount of data that I could possibly just, spread it out at you. But it's, just diving in, I definitely advise that. Just, try something. If you don't like it, you can stop. If you do like it, then you know what you like, and there you go. You can keep going on that path. So just try new things and see what you don't and you do like.
And I can vouch for that because I have not graduated yet, and it's definitely very scary to go into a field that you don't know everything about, but you're passionate about. And it's just like she said, just dive in, just try something new. I did, and it worked out great. FLCC has been beautiful. Honestly, it's been the best experience I've had thus far. So I definitely recommend it.
Thank you all for sharing. Speaking of best experience, what is the best and hardest part of your current position?
I would say, in general, the environmental field is not as well funded as some other organizations are. So we, as I said, we manage 400,000 acres of submerged habitat, and that's an incredible amount of space that we're supposed to manage with 4 positions. And actually, one of our positions is grant funded for until March. So we're going to be dropping down to 3 full-time staff, and that it's pretty competitive, the environmental field. So we typically have a lot of applicants for positions and very few positions to fill. And we have an incredible amount of work that we have to accomplish. So we heavily rely on volunteers. And the volunteer base can be very ephemeral. So sometimes we have a lot of volunteers that are active, and other times we don't, and that kind of dictates how much work we can get done. So there's a lot of challenges within the environmental field.
There we go.
Yes, 100%. Environmentally, we need tons of funding, and we don't have enough of it. Yeah, I think the best part of FLCC has been the experience and the networking. The worst part has been the extremely hard labor. It can be very difficult.
It is backbreaking. My back hurts constantly.
Yes, and my shoulder hurts, and it didn't hurt before. But it's okay. It's because of going out there and working really hard. We try to put our 100% in every day, and
sometimes we don't put any percentage in, and you feel bad about it. But like, it is what it is. Sometimes you kind of just have to rest and take a step away, but we get back to it. So
yeah, and we help manage over 6,300 acres of land. So it's Florida. It's really hot in the summer, so when it was colder, we tried to really push through the treatment and getting things done. And then it was summer, we kind of slowed down a little bit, did more interpretation, like stuff like this panel discussion and things like that. So I would say everything that Sarah said about the downfalls of being in an environmental field is 100%. And then just the gratification of being able to see your hard work actually being paid off and learning and networking.
Agreed.
Thank you all for sharing. We have a question in the chat box. Are there any internship opportunities in the companies you are working in?
Yes, we do offer internships. We offer a few each semester, spring, summer, and fall. And we highly encourage students to volunteer with our program before you try to apply for an internship. That way you can find out what you're interested in because, like I said, our fieldwork is seasonally diverse. So if you're interested specifically more in marine habitats, then I would recommend the summer term because that's when we're in the water most of the time. If you're more interested in the island habitat restoration, we do that more in the fall and the winter, spring terms. So if you're interested in an internship, you can reach out to me and we will highly encourage you to start volunteering with our program first. You can find what your niche is within our program.
So our organization they don't offer internships, but what we do is pretty much an internship. It's basically a year-long term. We're paid volunteers.
Yeah, we do get paid. We get living stipends of around $1,300. We also do get benefits, like you get health benefits, you get dental benefits. They give you EBT and things like that to help you with groceries, and it's full time. You do 40 hours a week and stuff like that. So paid volunteership, not internship.
Yeah.
But yes, they need new volunteers every quarter and then every year. So it's constantly going every year. So just send in your applications.
Thank you. One more question. I know you mentioned about volunteering before you apply for internships, but what is one thing students could start working on now if they're interested in the major, or they've been in the major for a year or about to graduate? Anything that you can think of that you wish you would have known about that they can start working on now to be competitive for a similar position?
Yeah, I would say definitely if you're not sure what you're interested in, I would highly recommend, if you think you're interested in something, trying to volunteer and see if that is what you're actually interested in. I forgot to mention in that previous question the best part of my current position. So when I was volunteering for my professor, I learned that I loved hard bottom habitats. They're very unique and they're not as popular as coral reefs. So that kind of became my niche for my career. And I was pleasantly surprised when I interviewed for this position that our office actually works with hard bottom habitats. So that's been my favorite part of the job, is that part of our work. But if you have just declared your major, or if you're going into the career force, definitely try to make sure that you get experience in what you think you know, or what you think you're interested in, so that you can make sure you're headed in the right direction, because the environmental field is very competitive and you want to make sure that you're getting the correct experience, because it can be difficult for applications having that extra above and beyond experience.
One thing that students can do now to be a little bit more competitive for similar positions is just volunteer. Get your foot out there. There's so many state parks. Just volunteer at state parks. Look up programs. Do your research. Like Sarah said, if you're interested in something, try to do a little bit of your own research. Be knowledgeable on the topic, so that if you do come to your internship hiring person, then they're impressed. They're like, oh, okay, this person did their research. They know what they're talking about. They must be passionate. All right.
And also think about it, like the volunteering that you're going to do for whatever organization, you're doing the work that they need done.
Right.
So if you're not interested, if you go and volunteer and you don't like it, that's probably not going to be the job for you, right? Like,
Right.
oh, okay, try another thing.
Right.
So definitely volunteer. You meet people when you volunteer. You're going to be meeting those leaderships, those leadership positions, and be like, oh wow,
Those
I actually really
priorities.
like this team. You know, I think I could fit in here, and you know, you'll be able to meet those people and see where you fit in on that scale.
Definitely.
I can add real quick. We have actually hired several former interns with our program. So, like Sarah just said, it definitely makes you seen by potential future hiring people. They can give you a good recommendation for future opportunities if you do a good job in your internship or your volunteer work. And it gets your foot in the door if that organization is hiring for a position.
Thank you all so much. I've learned a lot more than I knew before we started. I'm gonna take this time, let me see, there my camera is working. I'm gonna take this time to pause and see if there's any more questions from the audience. Okay, I know this is a tough time where after lunch people are hopefully full and maybe a bit tired. If you have any questions that you maybe wanted to ask more one-on-one, I know our presenters today have dropped their contact information in the chat, which you're able to scroll back up and see. So please feel free to jot down their contact, reach out to them directly. We really appreciate all the time that you've taken to come teach us about life below water, your positions, ways that students can volunteer, get involved, whether that be through internships. And so I really hope that you've been able to kind of shed some light with these students as far as the situations that are going on right here in the Tampa Bay area and how they can get involved to support the mission. So thank you so much. Thank you, students, for participating. We appreciate it. Thank you to our presenters, and you all have a wonderful day.